Okay, good morning. Hope everybody has had a good break. Thank you very much, Plasticity, for having me here. I'm humble here to be sharing stage with many of my mentors who are EXCOs and sitting on the Central Committee of MPMA. And the committee, it's evenly spread out, quietly sitting on all these tables. And so these are the people that I look up to and basically great mentors for me. So, I recycle. Yeah, I recycle plastic. Many of us, from Southeast Asia will be familiar with this. Sao gao boji, beri surat kabar lama, buy old newspaper. So this is how I started out. I didn't choose recycling. I was born in a recycler's family. And so during school holiday, when I was 10, I would go with my parents, going from household to household to collect recyclables. And that's how everything started out. My parents were extremely ashamed to be a plastic recycler. Because to them, other than, compared to the other industry, when you work hard, when you work smart, people respect you for it. So my parents felt, Ashwin, that if I get the second worst job, I would take it. That's what they felt. So growing up, they asked two things from us. Number one, get a degree. Number two, don't become a recyclist. So all four siblings, we did get a degree, and all four siblings are in recycling right now. Yeah, it's okay. So fast forward, more than 30 years now. So we are basically probably one of the top three when it comes to metal recycling, paper recycling, and plastic recycling here in Malaysia. We work great, with our informal community. So I think for today, I will shift my weight a little bit. I was not going to touch so much about informal community, but now I will. Yeah, simply because we have a little bit more time. And then also I see a lot of questions about, informal community this morning. So let's just come back here. So we were in metal recycling 35 years ago, and then 25 years ago, we were in paper. We started paper recycling, and then for plastic, we started in year 2002, so we're 16 years old now. When we first started with plastic recycling, the entire landscape were very, very fragmented. And it still is, actually. So you have 6 independent operators working independently with no communication. Company A do collection, company B do sorting, crushing, washing, compounding, extrusion, A, B, C, D, E, F. So when material move from A to F, it gives you 3 very big problems. Number 1, there are a lot of labor involved without following a standard. Number 2, you have a lot of non-value adding logistics involved. Number 3, A, B, C, D, E, F, not talking to each other. So as material go from A to F, cost goes up, quality goes down, and therefore the reputation of recycled plastic being substandard, and it might be contaminating in the process of recycling, and it's a costly exercise. So what we do, we integrate all that from A to F so that we can reduce labor costs by 40%, logistic by 60%, and then most importantly, now A, B, C, D, F are talking to each other. And the best discovery is customization. So we could then study and tap into the inherent property to design, to customize, to engineer our spec in order to enhance our customers' USP. We make our high-performance plastics, which we call smart plastic, we make it faster, stronger, better, and cleaner in the process of doing all that. So we do things like electric conductive plastic, thermal conductive plastic. Yes, we do have a biodegradable degradable grade, CNT-induced, protein-induced. So we have more than 600 formulation right now within our portfolio. We recycle 4,000 tons of plastic every month. So what we do is that our finished product, 70% of our finished product are actually exported to 31 different countries. We are global supplier to top Korean and Japanese home appliance maker, and also automotive car makers. So that's what we do on our material recycling. Now that's not all. When we decided to move to a new factory 8 years ago, we start to think that what are the other things that we can do besides just having a factory? So we realized that in the process of recycling, we use a lot of electricity. So what about the chance of converting plastic and then generate our own electricity? We did that. So essentially right now, from the byproduct from our material recycling, we went to pyrolysis process, we make our own in-house biodiesel, we basically generate our own electricity. So that essentially we could actually recycle plastic in an off-grid environment. So without TMB or without SAJ. So even without water or electricity supply, by tapping into the inherent property of plastic, and also through the development of recycling technology, we could actually recycle plastic without additional supply of electricity, and also by harvesting rainwater. So those are some of the things that we have done, our journey from smart plastic to smart journey. So there you go, 5 minutes that summarize what happened in the last 16 years. So going forward, if what we see that recycling plastic has so much great precious material in it, and then recycling technology has evolved as good as what I've just said, how come we're still confronted with this plastic pollution problem? And we don't see actually more impact or more reversal trend. This is our view, that we believe that, essentially it goes through the life cycle analysis. Many of us know that plastic, a lot of time we have this single life cycle issue. It comes from brand owners, it goes into product designer, maker, logistic, retailer, consumer, disposer, and then it stops right there. And we use plastic only one time. What we believe is to extend it to become a continuous life cycle. It resonates with many of our speakers earlier this morning. So essentially, same thing from a resin producer, brand owner, it goes through the same cycle up to consumer, but what we're going to do right now is actually adding another part to it, which is responsible disposal. And then it goes into a recycling community and the other supporters who are playing very, very important role of converting that single life cycle to a continuous life cycle. Now, what do I mean by responsible disposal? We have two different channels. One is a controlled disposal, one is an uncontrolled disposal. Let's talk about the uncontrolled disposal. We throw it out, single life cycle, it goes to somewhere we didn't know. More often than not, uncontrolled disposal will create what we call below the ground scrap, which are scrap that are contaminated with soil, with water, and under the exposure of sun over a prolonged period of time. So these are the material, as what Dr. Wong mentioned earlier. This is very costly to recycle because the environmental cost is too high, the preserve value is too low, okay? The other type is what we call a controlled disposal. So you control it as such that you can produce above ground scrap. That above ground scrap are not contaminated with soil, are not contaminated with water, and then at the same time are not exposed to sun, so that the inherent property are greatly preserved and the environmental cost is relatively low. The best example of controlled disposal is Japan, all right? Many of us have been to Japan, and we will see how they actually separate the scrap, how they actually dispose the scrap in a very, very controlled manner, therefore producing very good quality of above ground scrap. And all this later on are being channeled into recycling to get very high utilization percentage out of it. Now we talk about here in Malaysia, or in many parts of Southeast Asia, it ranges for plastic, the recycling rate or effective utilization, it's 20 to 25% at most. For Japan, it is actually the effective utilization of all this plastic, above ground plastic, is as high as 83%. So 83% of their plastic, they actually get something in return through material recycling, thermal recycling, chemical recycling. So this is what we truly believe here. So we talk about the responsible disposal. Then the next part, the informal community. And I think this is what strikes me this morning, with the speaker that mentioned about the informal community. So what happened here is that informal community, as what Ashwin has shown. So essentially, we also have a 4-tier informal community. It starts from a scavenger, and then after that, you have small collectors that essentially drive a truck to mobilize the material from one spot to another. You have the medium collectors who actually have a yard, a junk shop that can do some basic separation and processing. And then on top, you actually have the aggregator that aggregate the volumes. And then we will then go through the process, as what Mr. Wong has mentioned, that we go through an automated process so that we can purify the base material that we cannot do that manually. So what we do is that we roll out a program, which is a gray to green. So they are informal because they might hire some legal worker, some illegal worker. They might have some business licenses, and they might be incomplete business licenses, facilities, so on and so forth. But these are the community which I started out from that has the strongest desire, that's most hungry, and understand the inherent property of plastic scrap. So these are the community that we work with. We work with more than 3,000 of that, and I believe that the number is actually higher. So we work through the process through our recycling management program, that it's a simple equation that number one, what is the plus side? What kind of material, the inherent scrap that you have, truly understand what is the unique inherent property, get the best out of it, find the right customer so that you have that value adding. You actually make more money out of that. And in the process, we will then talk about the minus side. What is the environmental cost? And then we look at the net effect. If the net effect is positive, yes, we should do it. If the net effect is negative, then no, we should never do this. And that's on the other part, on working with the recycling community and followed by supporters. The forces of supporters are amazing. I mean, look at Plasticity here, offering this platform to have this open dialogue that we can throw ideas, workshop, that we can work with each other's idea to come up with the impact partnership that step by step, little by little, case by case, we study what is the best way to do. And that's essentially a lot of things that supporters can do. We can talk about banking industry, we can talk about social media, even the capital world are talking about giving resources. So these supporters are giving a lot more bandwidth than we have, never seen before. So what is the key importance of single life cycle of plastic and continuous life cycle? Imagine just like water, yeah? With continuous life cycle, that plastic will then transform in a solid, liquefied, and gasified state. So you have plastic scrap, then it will give you the biodiesel you need, the industrial gases that's made out of hydrocarbon, and then in the process generating renewable energy. It could then transform whatever that we view as a problem into an opportunity. And I think that is actually that hidden currency that we are trying to tap today. Now, the impact partnership, is something that we are seeing already. Regrettably, that's a lot of media that covering the bad apples of the industry. Yeah, that shows that illegal recycling operators, newcomers that's not following the regulation and all that. I fully support the action to shut down and remove the bad apples. But if we were to look at some of the exciting things that's happening here in Malaysia, you see a lot of great cases, very, very good cases whereby we actually have we actually have many world-class manufacturers that use recycled material that actually we recover from our post-consumer scrap. We have, great industrial packaging pallets maker that are top in the region, or if not top in the world. We are working with essentially flower pots maker that's located up in Penang that also use all this very high-grade, high-performance plastic made from post-consumer scrap through the local community enhancement program. And then we also have our Japanese home appliance maker, essentially that when they make 1,000 ton of that home appliance or white goods, whether it's washing machine, air conditioning, and fridge, they will then buy 1,000 ton from us to reach that plastic neutral state. So once you get that plastic neutral state, the idea is very much like carbon neutral. You study that in a factory, the scrap, you buy the plastic material, are you disposing it in a controlled manner that you basically have the net output? So if you buy 10 tons and you sell 10 tons, so essentially everything is in a perfect loop. So there's no guilt in using plastic within the system, provided that you can make sure you have a very controlled disposal system. You pass it to a recycling network that can pledge the promise that all this above ground plastic, when it's collected, it will not end up in landfill, it will not end up in marine pollution. So those are a lot of interesting projects that I would love to talk to you, Ashwin. Where's Ashwin? I lost him there. There you go. Okay. So there are a lot of great studies, with the community and the businesses that I'd love to talk to you about. NGOs and communities, same thing. We come up with new products. Julian, over there, Reef Check. This is our product. A plastic product that is made from landfill and ocean plastic in it. And that's something that we are already doing with the property that is consistent every time, fulfilling all the standard that is required for that product to be marketed. And these are the kind of things that we are doing together with community and with NGOs. We believe, I would love to speak to you again, same thing. I believe we can buy higher prices from what you're selling right now. And then together with the right platform, we could then encourage more of this because we need to have an action to recover more ocean plastic out. And then we channel it and work together with brand owners that we can actually channel it back to the loop again. Research center, we are doing a lot more project with the research center, academy, and see how we can come out with even a better recycling management program to continue and enhance that Grey to Green program. Government, we're very lucky that a lot of technology that we are doing right now, we were supported because what we have done through the last 16 years, we do a lot of locally developed technologies. And MTDC has been a great supporter for these locally developed technologies that help us to commercialize what we do right now. So again, technology and innovation is critical. And then going forward, if we need to really truly track what we have here, then digitalization and blockchain becomes something that's very, very important. And these are the kind of supporting technology that we do not have 10 years ago, 20 years ago, which are not as popular. And if we were to go through here, if we want to change the life cycle, that single life cycle into the continuous life cycle, then we had to add in this step, these 3 steps that we have to add in. Now, when we talk about structure, the structure of doing this in a systematic approach. There are 2 approaches that we can do it. One is the hard approach that we have the policy maker, we have the government, we have the industry association that are trying to come out with a hard collection system that we can collect, with all the bins collection, from country to country, and then to enable that. But I believe in the soft structure. I love working with the local community, that 3,000, 4,000 or 5,000 informal recycling operators. That's what I love to work with. It is the soft structure, and these are the ones that we want to work with through our program, and hopefully the operators will not tell the son and say that, don't become a recycler. Because we need more recyclers in order to change the single life cycle plastic to a continuous life cycle of plastic. And because the day when all of us work together, that will be a day we live in a world with no plastic pollution. Thank you, everyone.